Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the SimNFL show. Real talk about fake sports. I am your host and commissioner. You can call me Pierce. Today we are discussing all of the Week 8 action of the 2026 season of the Pro Football Sim over at SimSN. If you're unfamiliar, come check us out on the website and on Discord. We would love to have you. So today, as usual, we'll start with our stats and summaries from the previous week, culminating in my choices for the players of the week. We'll do a quick injury update, look at the NFL standings, and then our feature today is on mid-season awards. I know we're only 8 weeks into the season, but the way the timing works out with the trade deadline coming up, which we want to cover next week, and then the weeks after that will be focused on extensions, fifth-year options, and other GM things. So the way it works out, we're going to cover those today, and then we will do our preview for the upcoming Week 9. So let's go ahead and dive in. Things kicked off with a bang on Thursday night with the Colts upsetting the Broncos, giving them their first loss of the season. Denver drove 74 yards in 9 plays on their very first drive, but Rashawn Lyons, who was getting the start this week, threw an interception to Timothy Ward on the 3-yard line, and the Colts escaped without giving up any points there. However, Gregory Taphorn was tackled in the end zone for a safety, so the Denver Broncos did start out with a 2-point lead after that. Later in the first quarter, Russell Garbon left with a shoulder injury, and with Philip Nagel already out, meant the Broncos were down both of their starting defensive tackles for this week and next week, which definitely made a big difference. Later in the first, the Colts drove 81 yards in 10 plays with Joaquin Centeno running it in for a 13-yard touchdown to give the Colts their first lead at 7-2. Denver then drove down to the Colt 27-yard line, but missed a field goal. Going to the second quarter now, Taphorn found Joshua Maurice for gains of 16 and 15 yards on completions there. Then Taphorn ran it in himself from 4 yards out to build the lead up to 14-2. It was 14-5 at halftime, and then in the third quarter, Denver drove twice into Indiana territory, coming away with field goals both times to cut the lead to 14-11. Still in the third quarter, Taphorn fumbled the ball that was recovered by cornerback Keith Remy, but 2 plays later, Lyons threw his second interception of the game. This one picked up by Elijah Ellis, and the Colts once again escape without giving up a score. Going to the fourth quarter now, Colts drove down to the Denver 12-yard line, but on 1st and 10, Taphorn was picked by safety Jason Hinton, meaning the lead was still 14-11 at that point, and then Denver responded by driving down for yet another field goal, 4th of the day, to tie things at 14 with just over 6 minutes to go. Colts then drove down to the Denver 44, but they punted on 4th and 1. Giving Denver the chance to drive for what would have been a game-winning score. They got to the 34-yard line, but they missed a 51-yard field goal that would have ended it, or would have given them the lead with 34 seconds to go. Instead, we went to overtime. Both teams had a possession, but punted, and then Rashawn Lyons threw his third pick of the day, his second to Timothy Ward. That was at the Denver 32-yard line. 6 plays later, Glenn Brandt hit the game-winning field goal from 36 yards out to win it for the Colts. So Gregory Taphorn, only 99 passing yards and a pick, but 110 rushing yards and a touchdown. And Timothy Ward with those 2 big interceptions. The Broncos lose after Rashawn Lyons throws 3 interceptions, and they miss 2 field goal attempts. So a lot of missed opportunities and shooting themselves in the foot. Lead the Broncos to their first loss of the season. They go to 6-1. The Colts are now 2-6. Moving into the Sunday games now, it wasn't enough for one undefeated to lose. They both went down, with the Jets defeating the Dolphins 28-27 in a real heartbreaker. The Jets, on their very first drive, playing to win, they drive to the Miami 37. They go for it on 4th and 3 and get it. Jesse Knoll carrying it for 8 yards. That led to a Nick Suarez 1-yard touchdown run and the first points of the day. Then Hammond's second throw of the day was picked off by Matthew Beal. Knoll ran it in from 4 yards out to give the Jets the lead 14-0. In the second quarter, a Bowman 40-yard run set up the Dolphins with great position, and Devin Holtz took advantage, running it in from 4 yards out for a touchdown. They made it 17-7 at that point, and then after a Jets 3 and out, Hammonds hit Sanders for 31, and later Kenny White for a 10-yard touchdown to cut the lead to 3. In the third quarter, the Dolphins took their first lead of the game. Hammonds on a drive going 5 for 6 for 54 yards, and a touchdown pass to Devin Holtz from 11 yards out. In the fourth quarter, Dolphins still leading 21-20. Jesse Knoll broke free for a 54-yard run, setting up his fullback Elias for a 6-yard touchdown run. Elias ran it in again for the 2-point conversion, putting the Jets back up 28-21. We had a trade of punts, and then a good punt return set Miami up at midfield. With the clock winding down, Hammonds found Sanders for a 25-yard gain. Then he hit a GF4 for 13, and then Kenny White for a 12-yard touchdown. It looks like this game could be going to overtime as well. But the Dolphins missed the extra point. The Jets, on the ensuing possession, got 1 first down, which is enough to run out the clock and escape with the upset victory. So Jets 28-27 upset the Dolphins for a huge division win. Jesse Knoll 212 yards passing, 127 yards, and a touchdown rushing to lead his team to the big win. In another close divisional matchup, Titans emerged victorious against the Jaguars by a final score of 16-13. Devin Kozert had a 36-yard carry on the first play of the game, but that only set up a missed field goal attempt from 24 yards out. It was Jacksonville that actually scored first, with Matt Howard finding Hugh Kahn for a 19-yard gain, then his tight end Jamie Perez for 19, and then he hit Campa Verde for a 12-yard touchdown. They missed the extra point, so it was 6-0 then. In the second quarter, Wayne Reimer hit Ray Thompson, playing against his old team, for 31 yards. And then Hayes Edwards had a 16-yard catch. Joseph Kale ran it in from 2 yards out. They did hit the extra point, so the Titans took the lead there 7-6. Going now all the way to the fourth quarter, down by a touchdown, Howard hit Perez for big gains of 16 and 13. Hugh Kahn carried it in for a 6-yard touchdown to tie the game at 13. But in response, Joseph Kale broke off a 42-yard run that set up a field goal also from 42 yards out, giving the Titans the 16-13 lead late. Then Jacksonville, Howard hit Perez again, a 32-yard gain, but at the Tennessee 26-yard line on third down through an interception to Sergio Collins. And the Jaguars were denied critical points there. But on the next drive, looking to run out the clock, Wayne Reimer threw an interception of his own, this one to James Wilson. So Jacksonville had the ball at their 47-yard line, still with over 4 minutes to go. But the Titans defense held. They stuffed the Jaguars on fourth down to get the ball back and were able to run out the clock and hold on for the critical win. So Titans back in first place in the AFC South with the 3-point victory. Joseph Gale, 183 yards and a touchdown, plus 35 receiving yards for him on his big day. Yet another overtime thriller in a week that had a lot of close games. The Texans came out ahead of the Chargers, 34-17. Chargers scored first with Aguilera finding McGuire for a 20-yard touchdown pass. They would mostly trade field goals and defensive stops until the third quarter, when Jeff Holley broke a 51-yard touchdown run to tie the game at 13. Then after a defensive stop, Travis Nebel found Holley for a 29-yard pass, and then 4 different completions to Thomas Rothschild, including a 2-yard touchdown to take the lead 20-13. The Chargers kicked field goals on their next 2 drives to make it a 1-point game with 8:22 to go. But then Houston, on their next drive, ran the ball 7 times consecutively for 58 yards, also added a 15-yard face mask penalty onto one of them. That set up Travis Neville for his second touchdown pass of the day to his tight end Will Thomas for 3 yards, making it 27-19 at that point with 5 minutes to go. But the Chargers didn't back down. Tavecchio ran for 10 and 26 yards on the next drive, and then Aguilera ran it in from 3 yards out. for the touchdown. Then Aguilera, for the 2-point conversion, passed to Edwin Garcia. And with the 8-point play, the Chargers had tied it at 27, and we went to overtime. It started off disastrously for the Texans with Nebel fumbling on the very first play. Luckily, his center, Walter Aerosmith, fell on the ball and did not give the Chargers the ball in Texan territory. 10 plays later, Nebel hit Matt Brown for a 5-yard game-winning touchdown to win the game for the Texans in overtime. So Nebel, 138 passing yards and 3 touchdowns with no picks. Also 29 carries for 129 yards. Other than getting bailed out on that single disastrous fumble, an incredible day for the former number 1 overall pick. Jeff Hawley, also 176 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown for him as the Texans come away with a win in this nail-biter of an overtime game. Seattle upset the Lions. 20-14 was the final score there. Lions got the first big play with a Tremaine Craig 60-yard run. Richard Bianchi ended up stealing the touchdown from him with a 6-yard carry, but the Lions were up 7-0. Harrison Scott would equalize things in the second quarter with a 34-yard touchdown run of his own. Then, with under 2 minutes in the half, Seattle drove to the Lion 29-yard line, but Jeremiah West was picked by Michael Frizzell, so no points for the Seahawks as they went into the half. In the third quarter, Seattle got into Detroit territory yet again, but McGee fumbled, which was recovered by cornerback Presley to end that drive. But McGee would make up for it later in the third quarter. On one single drive, he would have runs of 26, 24, and then a 23-yard touchdown, making it 17-7, Seattle leading at that point. Later in the third, after another Seattle field goal, Tremaine Craig, another huge run, 63-yard run touchdown. That made it 22-14 with 7:36 to go. Then after a stop, Detroit got the ball all the way to the Seattle 46, but with some bad sim luck. With 2:04 on the clock, they punted on 4th and 7. Just a few seconds later, and the sim would have told them to go for it, which is what they should have done. Unfortunately, they punted. Seattle ran out the clock to hold on to the win. So Seattle gets back to 500. Lions drop down to 6-2. Clayton McGee, 191 yards and a touchdown, did fumble twice on the day. Tremaine Craig, 149 yards and a touchdown. So two big days from two young runners here in this game, but it is Seattle who escapes with the win. In a close game on Sunday night, Washington finished ahead of Green Bay, 22-16. The first quarter, Joseph Garibay threw an interception to Trevor Dunn deep in Green Bay territory, but Trey McMillan bailed him out, picked off Jerome Morrison on the very next play. So after dueling interceptions, no points scored there. But then in the second quarter, Packers return man Cody Caspi muffed a punt at his own 21-yard line. And then Washington made quick work of it. Morrison to knee for an 18-yard gain, then Morrison to Gonzalez for a 3-yard touchdown. Commanders were up 10-0 at that point. But Green Bay responded. They drove 69 yards in 11 plays, with Garibay finding his receiver Nwachukwu for a 12-yard touchdown pass, making it 10-7 going into the half. Washington defense would stiffen from there, and in the fourth quarter, Washington would drive 60 yards in 9 plays. Morrison to his new tight end, Sebastian Moore, for a 4-yard touchdown. Made it a 2-touchdown lead at that point. Green Bay would score a final touchdown with 1:10 remaining. Garibay finding Junior Ogba from 5 yards out. That made it 20-14. Then they sacked Jerome Morrison for a 12-yard loss. And on the final play of the game, Chad Dolis ran around in the end zone until time expired, did take a safety, making it a 20-16 final score, but Washington did win. Jerome Morrison, 266 yards, including 146 to JaVale knee on 11 receptions, as Washington, a big, big win over a strong NFC opponent. As for the rest of the Week 8 scoreboard, Buffalo eked out a victory over Baltimore, 10-9. Buffalo won despite ending up with -3 rushing yards on 18 attempts. Surprisingly not the worst team rushing day, as we will find out in a moment. Brandon Savage, 34 of 53, 314 yards. No touchdowns and a pick for him on the day. Minnesota beat Cincinnati 16-7. Marcus Dade, 34 carries, 97 yards, getting it the hard way with barely under 3 yards a carry. Did have a touchdown though, helping lead the Vikings to victory. Pittsburgh had no trouble with Chicago, winning 30-3. Robert Morris, 20 of 29, 238 yards and 2 touchdowns passing. Also added 71 rushing yards on the day. New Orleans beat Tampa Bay in a battle of young quarterbacks. 17-9 was the final. The Saints helped by a great rushing attack. Jalen Johnson, 19 carries, 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. They also had Josh Bassett rush for 96 yards on 19 carries. So a great day for the Saints' two-headed rushing attack there. Kansas City continued their winning ways, 24-3 over San Francisco. David Chop, 18 of 26 for 220 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. And then James Carter, 140 yards and a touchdown on just 15 carries for him. The Rams blew out the Browns, 30-3 was the final score. Avila, 32 of 53, 344 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. And biggest stat of all, the Rams defense holding the Browns to negative 24 rushing yards on 26 attempts. One more in particular, 10 carries, 0 yards. So great day for the Rams, offense and defense, carrying them to the big victory. Las Vegas pitched a shutout against Arizona, winning 17-0. James Sixton, 28 of 40, 287 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick for him. Then on Monday night, Carolina with the big win, 48-20 over the Dallas Cowboys. Link, 46 of 65, 572 passing yards, and 5 touchdowns on the day. So that brings us to players of the week, and I have to shout out Travis Neeble, 3 passing touchdowns, 138 yards, 129 yards on the ground. Every one of them critical in an overtime victory over the Chargers. So great day for Neeble. Tremaine Craig, 149 yards and a touchdown on just 13 carries. Joseph Kale, over 200 yards on 32 touches as well. And then George Lovejoy for Carolina being the top target for Dakota Link on Monday night. 16 catches, 195 yards, and 3 scores for the former Brown. On defense, Jeffrey Jesse continuing to have a phenomenal season for Baltimore. 7 tackles for loss and a couple sacks. Phillip Bell for the Chargers, 3 sacks for him. David Peterson of the Browns forced a fumble, picked off a pass, and broke up 4 passes as well. Great day for him. Bobby Gonzalez continues being one of the takeaway leaders in the NFL with a couple picks. And then Timothy Ward for the Indianapolis Colts, 2 key interceptions for them as they upset the Broncos. So congratulations to these 9 players on being named my players of the week. The pipe was particularly unforgiving this week. We had a lot of new injuries. Shoulder injuries to Baltimore defensive end Nip Concepcion. Russell Gobron, as we mentioned, the second Broncos defensive tackle to go down. They will both still be out next week. Juan Zuniga, another defensive tackle injury, bruised his hamstrings. He'll miss significant time for Jacksonville. Phillip Bell, after his amazing 3-sack day, unfortunately he went down with an ACL injury in overtime. So sad end to what was otherwise a great day. It's not a complete tear, but we are hearing from the staff that he's likely to essentially miss the rest of the regular season. New Orleans lost their free safety Kevin Hansford for a couple weeks with a groin injury. Hamstring injury for the Jets guard David McNeil, a 91 overall player. He will definitely be missed while he is out. And then Steven Steck, the Seattle center, that was fun to say, in concussion protocol, expected to miss a few weeks as well. On the good news, a couple players who are coming back. Daniel Ellswick is healthy, will be coming back and making his debut for the Chiefs next week. Christopher Rogers, outside linebacker for the Browns, recovering from a hamstring injury. And then Corey Brockers of the Dolphins has recovered from his shoulder injury and should be ready to go, although he would be splitting carries with their new running back Juan Mora next week. So in the AFC, Steelers are back on top in the North with a one-game lead over the Browns. Browns do still have the tiebreaker though, so it's definitely a strong two-team race there. Titans with a big victory over the Jaguars, giving them the one-game lead and the tiebreaker. Texans still in the mix there at 3-5 as well. The Jets are within a half game of the Dolphins now, 6-1 versus 6-2, and now with that tiebreaker in their back pocket. So a great day for New York as they inch ever closer and attempt to get their first division crown. And then the Chiefs with the best record in the league now at 7-1, now ahead of the Broncos as the Broncos take their first loss on Thursday night. Raiders in the mix as well at 5-3, and the Chargers still at 4-4, even though they're in fourth place, still very much in the mix as well. In the NFC, Lions fall to 6-2, but since the Packers also lost, Lions get to keep their division lead for at least one more week. Vikings are still at 4-3, so still in a good wild card position as well. Panthers really building up that lead in the South. I guess the Saints did win, so staying at 3.5 game lead currently. Commanders still with a 1 game lead over the Dallas Cowboys, or gaining a game now after the Cowboys fall to the Panthers. So Commanders back in first place. And then the Rams at 6-1, still with the lead in the NFC West. So a lot of football left to be played, but some of these division races starting to shape up, starting to separate some of the contenders from the also-rans as we are 8 games into the season. So our feature today is on mid-season awards. Again, it's a little bit early, but with the timing of programming, we're going to jump in now. Now, all these awards only go to single players. They are not broken up by conference, but for the first 4, at least, I have a couple names, usually at least one from each conference, to suggest some front runners in my mind. When it comes to Offensive Rookie of the Year, I want to highlight a couple of rookie running backs: Harrison Rodriguez of the Chargers and Tremaine Craig of the Lions. Rodriguez, 459 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns already on the year. Tremaine Craig, more yards on fewer carries, so 539 yards on just 91 carries. So great average for there. A couple of touchdowns for Craig as well. So we get Harrison Rodriguez with that blazing speed. We're starting to see that in action. And then Tremaine Craig, one of a phenomenal draft class for the Lions, having an immediate impact. Love to see rookies coming in and playing great right off the bat. And for running back, definitely a wealth of talent in the last couple of drafts that we're seeing now entering the league. For my front runners for Defensive Rookie of the Year, Donald Dingus absolutely has to be in the conversation. He's tied for 3rd in the entire league with 6 interceptions, also has 6 passes defended, having a phenomenal rookie year for the ball hawk archetype there. Caleb Ryder, also for the Cardinals, 4th overall pick, 48 tackles, 22 tackles for loss. That's good for equal 9th in the league, by the way, at this point. 6 sacks as well. And then Keith Jackson, defensive tackle for the Patriots, 36 tackles for him, 19 tackles for loss. That's tied for 15th in the league. Great start for a rookie, especially for one drafted at the bottom of the 2nd round, compared to Ryder, who was a top 5 selection. So both of them doing fantastic, even in a league where the Sim engine right now really likes defensive tackles, really feeds them a lot of great stats. But even when you line them up against the veterans, some of the best in the league, they're doing phenomenally. So Dingus being top 5 in interceptions, certainly a strong showing from him. But I do want to call out these rookie defensive tackles for having great seasons so far as well. The least surprising category right now would be Offensive Player of the Year, where my front runners are the best 2 quarterbacks in the league, in my opinion, Dean Hammonds and Dakota Link. And the numbers certainly back that up. Hammonds completing 70.9% of his passes, over 2,500 yards, 23 touchdowns to only 6 interceptions. Link is completing, after Monday night, 64.9% of his passes, with a lot more attempts, over 100 more attempts than Hammonds to be exact. Um, Over 2,800 yards, 26 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Still a fantastic ratio. So yeah, I mean, what more can you say that hasn't been said already? But two of their premier quarterbacks, absolutely at the top of their game, filled to the brim with offensive weapons, making a push for the Super Bowl this year in their respective conferences. Two front runners for Offensive Player of the Year. Then on the defensive side, Huey Enrique of Houston. I feel like I'm mentioning him every single week when those games come up. 46 tackles, 25 and a half tackles for loss. That's third in the NFL, and 9 sacks as well. Throwing a forced fumble and a recovered fumble for him as well. Leon Payne for the Packers, 25 tackles for loss, so just a half behind Enrique, and then 12 sacks. He is our sack leader so far through week 8 in the NFL. And then Luis Wong of Tampa Bay, got to call him out as well. Tied for the league lead with 9 interceptions, also 7 passes defended as well. All these guys, huge difference makers at their positions. Definitely should be in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year based on their performance so far. And that just brings my vote for MVP. For this one, I only have one name, and it is not one of the Offensive Players of the Year, which is normally there's a lot of overlap there for obvious reason. But when you talk about value to a team, I don't think you can possibly overstate what this one player has done to a franchise. So he gets my vote as of right now, and that's David Chop of Kansas City. As far as the numbers go, he's completing 65.6% of his passes, 1,900 yards, 13 touchdowns, admittedly 9 interceptions, but also 517 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns there. He has, until this recent trade for Ellswick, until Ellswick finally hits the field, Michael Walker is a 74 overall. That's his top receiver. Walker is 12th in receiving yards. And again, that offense is only going to get better with Ellswick now coming in as a wide receiver 1. His tight end, Van Slyke, is first among tight ends in receiving yards with 514. So that's more than Ramik Phelps has with Green Bay, who's in second place, and on 8 fewer catches. So Chop is turning his players into the best versions of themselves. And this is a team that was 6-11 last year. Now it's got 7 wins already. They've got the best record currently in the NFL. Completely turned this team around and got the fans and the pundits very excited for what's going to come next. Admittedly, they do have a brutal second half of their schedule coming up. They've got Vegas still to play twice. They have to play Denver twice still. And then they're at the Rams, at the Jets in Week 17, and then at the Chargers to end the season. So 5 division games, including all 3 of the road games and a couple other key road games as well. It's going to be real rough coming into the second half of the season. But even if, this 7-1 start ends in a 10-win season, even that is so far beyond where the Chiefs were last year. And I think they are going to finish even better than that. I think they're going to compete in all these games. I think they're going to make a playoff run. But it is just night and day difference with this team with David Chop at the helm. And the way he has turned them into buyers at the trade deadline, the way they're now building that offense around him, it's just phenomenal. And I think it speaks to what a player he is. I think it puts, JW in frontline for GM of the year, which I don't cover here. But just phenomenal what they've been able to do with Kansas City in less than a year's time. So if it were up to me, and if the season ended this week, Chop would be my choice for league MVP. But let me know what you think in the comments and who your votes would be for. I'd be interested in hearing all that. So next week, week 9, we're going to start things off on Thursday night with New England still looking for its first win, going to Tampa Bay. Scouting Tool thinks this could go either way. SSACC really likes Tampa Bay at home in prime time. Miami is a big favorite as we go into the Sunday games. They are hosting Philadelphia. And then we have Washington going on the road to face the New York Giants. should be a big favorite there. Moving on to the afternoon, a big division game with Green Bay going to Minnesota. Green Bay favored by as many as 3 scores in that one. And then the really big, I think, marquee matchup of this week, Carolina at the LA Rams, top 2 seeds currently in the NFC, going head-to-head. Carolina, a road favorite according to the scouting tool. SSEC has this as a straight pick'em, so do with that what you will. On Sunday night, we have San Francisco going to the desert in Arizona to face the Cardinals. That one's pretty close on both lines. And then Monday night, Kansas City gets to start off that monster back half of the schedule by hosting the Vegas Raiders. This is the first time we will see Ellswick in a Chiefs uniform, and the line seems to reflect that, with Kansas City being a strong favorite there. But that's all just on paper. They still have to play the games. And as we have seen so far this year, pretty much anything can happen on the field. So we won't know until they play the games how it all shakes out, and then we will talk about it next week on the SimNFL show. That is everything I have for this edition of our show today. Thank you so much for stopping by. And as I say to all users in all of our sims, good luck and have fun.